there is no institution that better represents the imbalance, the lack of equity in the world than the United Nations Security Council. It is absurd at this height of history that 5 countries, of which only 1 is from the South, have the privilege of being able to block the most important decisions that face humanity at will. Now, of course, one would hope that such an entity would not exist. But if indeed it must exist, as some make the argument, which I am willing to accept, that, ultimately we need a smaller body than the UN General Assembly to be able to act with greater agility in the face of threats to peace and security. Then in that case, as I was saying earlier, let it be a body that is composed of the world as it is and not as it was. And that means, for instance, let us move and transform that structure entirely. And let us make sure, my dear Emmanuel, that the representation is the representation of our regional and continental organization. Let the African Union have a seat. Let the CELAC in Latin America have a seat. Let the Arab League have a seat. Let ASEAN have a seat, and let the European Union have a seat. And if indeed, for some historical reasons, some countries must keep their seats, let it be on objective, transparent criteria. In that regard, the United States of America could keep their seat, China could keep its seat, but then we need to open the door to other countries that share the characteristics, such as India. We must no longer just lament. We must take matters into our own hands and recognize that, yes, the United Nations is a crucial entity. Any person that tells you that the United Nations needs to disappear is either very foolish or dangerous. That being said, we all agree it needs to be reformed thoroughly. But it cannot be reformed from the inside. Because if you try to reform it from the inside, what ultimately occurs is that you are only, again, supplicating. You are making speeches. You are saying, please, would you kindly consider no longer having vetoes? Whereas, if you create the leverage, then you can demand that reform. And again, it's not a reform against anyone. It's a reform for everyone. And this means, in part, that from the perspective of our countries in that transformation, in the building of that leverage that is necessary, it means that instead of trying to change the multilateralism that we have inherited, and that is not true multilateralism, if you want I'll develop it later, but the main point is, from the inside, we must build a new multilateralism that is more equitable, just, fair, and prosperous for everyone, from the outside, from what has historically been considered the periphery, that is, from the greater south, but for humanity.